Yes. Give me a hug. I love you.
I love you.
Okay. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
You see? I can't see you.
What? Hold on.
Can,
Can you hear me?
don't tell me you did this again. Okay. I can hear you and I can see you. I was like, no.
Hi,
It did that yesterday.
Marshay. Hi, Cecilia.
Hi. I say I couldn't see Ariel at first either. All I could do is hear her voice. I was like, "Hey,
That's what I heard.
hello." We got it all set up.
Hi, everybody.
Let's see. I'm
Candice,
inviting Susan. Oh, it's too late.
Oh,
Hi.
Candice.
How
So
are you?
I'm good. I went through your page, and I didn't know you craft. I saw your
Uh-huh.
Starbucks tumblers. Can you hear me?
Oh,
here.
it broke up. Am I crazy? Don't tell
Oh,
me. Am I having
I
trouble?
said I can hear her. Oh, I saw your Starbucks tumblers that she was crafting, and I need to get
Yes.
my hands on some of those. That's funny.
Yes. Hi,
Hi,
ladies.
Susan.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone. I think
guys. Y'all look so
thank you for staying up.
I know. Yeah. It's close to my bedtime, but that's okay. I took a nap today.
Okay, now. Nice. You look very beautiful, my friend.
Oh.
All of you ladies do.
I'm in my bed, y'all. Like, I'm literally in my bed.
She said she's gonna roll right around.
Yeah, exactly. If I fall asleep, like, do you ever like scroll on somebody's live and they're asleep and you're like, why are you sleeping?
Yes.
Yes.
the
Yeah.
ones like of the gifts that make noises or something, right? I'm like that. I wonder how.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Somebody was like, that's fake. It's like recorded or something. I don't know.
Oh,
And I was like,
maybe.
but why would you even want to do that? Like,
Yeah.
I know that's weird.
I guess. It is weird. I agree. I just scarfed down a piece of pizza. So if I have anything in my teeth, please tell me. Like I inhaled it so
I
I can
can't
come
see
on here
that
inside
well.
me.
I say I ate a salad about 30 minutes ago and I'm like so full. And I probably didn't eat the whole thing.
I can't wear it.
But today was
On
shot
my
day,
phone?
so maybe that's why.
Oh, today was your
I'm
day.
sorry.
Yeah, I took it around lunchtime. Oh, fun. Hopefully you
No,
feel
if you
better throughout the
continue, so
night.
do it then if that's okay.
So I should know this. Is it Danny waits it out, or is it Danny? Is that how I say it, y'all? I see her in here. She sent me a rose, and I'm like, sometimes I call her Danny, and I don't know why. So
Yeah, it's
I
Danny.
just call everybody by their usernames, like their whole username. That's the way I refer to all of you.
Well, I was
That's
hoping to
awesome.
change mine before tonight started, but it happened.
Okay, ladies,
Yeah,
we're not
it's
gonna
Danny.
keep
Okay,
everybody
good.
waiting.
I'm a girl.
Like Danny, but I'm a girl.
But I'm a
Love
girl.
it.
I love it.
I love it. Okay, ladies. So welcome. Thank you, ladies, for being here. So we're gonna get into it and start with introductions. We're gonna go clockwise on my screen. So I'm gonna let Ariel go first, and I'll go last.
Oh, okay. Hi. Then I'm
Oh,
Ariel. I'm currently taking Manjaro. I'm on my 13th week, and I'm on 10 milligrams.
And hi, I'm Susan, and I am on week 21 or 22. I'm pretty sure it's 22. And I am currently on 10 milligrams, and I am a type 2 diabetic, and I'm excited to be here.
Hi guys, it's Cecilia. I am on 10 milligrams of Manjaro. I will be moving up next dose to 12.5. Today marks 20 weeks for me, and I deal with PCOS, insulin resistance, and some other health issues that we'll talk about later. But I am so happy to be here and to share my story with you guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Misty, and I am on Wegovy. So I've been on it for about 56 weeks. I don't know how to label it anymore. You know, a year and a week, a year and a month and a half, something. And I also have PCOS and insulin resistance. So glad to be here.
Awesome. And I'm Candice. I am a newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic. I am on Manjaro, and I am in my ninth week. I'm in my ninth week. So, yeah. And I'm on it for my diabetes to bring my A1C down, as well as to hopefully lose some weight. I hope. Nice to meet you, ladies. I'm glad everybody gets to get to know you. That you were able to introduce yourself. So we do have some questions that we're going to go by, and we'll answer in the chat as we can. And at the end, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. So the first question, and we'll start with Ariel, because she's right here on my screen. I don't know where she is on yours, but she's right here on my screen. If you want to tell us your diagnosis story, please do. When and how did you find out that you had type 2 diabetes and or insulin resistance?
Sure. Also in the chat, if y'all would like to put what medication you're on, while the majority of us are on Manjaro, some of us have been on other GLP-1 medications. So feel free to add that in, what week you're on, how much you've lost, and if you have any other conditions that may apply. So yeah. So my name is Ariel. I am a type 2 diabetic. I did not include that earlier. But I've had PCOS and insulin resistance now since I was probably in my late teens, early 20s. It's been a while. You know, I'm about to be 32 soon. So for as long as I can really remember, I've had one or the other. Or was trying to figure out why my periods were so irregular for so long, even without birth control. I'm also getting over some sinus and allergies, so excuse me with the coughing. I may mute myself while everybody else is chatting along the way and take more time to catch my breath. I've been basically a pre-diabetic for at least the last 6 years when I've started receiving consistent medical care. It was kind of difficult to get medical care for so long because I didn't have great insurance. It was super expensive. And I didn't really want to continue doing what I was doing, which was taking metformin for so long. Absolutely hated the way I felt on metformin. I did regular, I did extended release. I've done 1 pill a day to 3 pills a day. Then I officially, even while taking metformin, I officially jumped the hill and became a diabetic officially in, I think, 2018, 2019. So been trying to manage my diabetes and my weight and PCOS and everything for as long as I can truly remember now. I did try Trulicity for a few months. Unfortunately, started it at the same time that I was prescribed Topamax for migraines. Those were not the best combination ever. I was violently ill for at least 4 days. Stopped taking Topamax, still continued the Trulicity, but I was kind of having some PTSD moments with the sulfur burps that were occurring with it and just continued to feel like, am I going to get sick again? So went back to the metformin. Actually, the way I found Manjaro was through Cecilia and seeing her story on TikTok. And I was like, and I just my provider, I literally sent her an email saying, hey, I'm interested in taking this to treat all of here's my list of conditions, right? What do you think? Should I schedule an appointment? She didn't even schedule an appointment. She just sent the medication in and said, well, I'll see you when you come in October. And I'm like, okay. I didn't even know how to take the meds. I didn't know anything to do that. So that's when I dove deep into TikTok, basically. And that's just like the brief synopsis of my treatment story and all the conditions that I currently have, as well as like dealing with obesity my entire life.
I'm so happy I shared my story and you found it.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. So I am a type 2 diabetic. I have struggled with my weight my entire adult life. And I come from a long line of genetics. I have a lot of heart disease and diabetes in my family. My grandfather had to have his leg amputated due to diabetes complications. I have an aunt who passed away after years on dialysis due to her diabetes complications. My father is a diabetic. He's actually on Trulicity. But so I knew it was going to happen for me. And I actually had weight loss surgery in 2015, and I was pre-diabetic back then. And then it all kind of got better. And then I started gaining the weight back, and I gained about 40 pounds back. And 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. It was during 2020. And I was devastated. And we can talk later about my doctor wasn't really helpful. And I did take metformin also. I could not take it. It was horrific for me. And I was also on Rybelsus. And I really struggled with Rybelsus. And I think part of it was I didn't really know what I was doing. And I wasn't changing my lifestyle as much as I needed to. And so I found Manjaro on TikTok. It was Sam. Sam is losing it. I saw her and the weight doc were the first two videos that I saw. And I got my help for myself because my doctor wasn't helping me. And here I am. And now I have almost a normal A1C after it's crazy. I mean, like it's almost normal. So that's crazy. But that's a little bit about my story.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, guys. I'm going to try not to cry. I've been prepping myself to like have this conversation. When you put it all in front of you, it can be overwhelming what you've gone through. I was diagnosed with PCOS at a very young age. I'd say 17, 18 years old. And I had always been on birth control to kind of maintain my symptoms. And around the age of 23-ish is when I decided to go on a constant birth control. And meaning I no longer had periods. So when I talk in my videos about a 10-year, it's probably been 10 to 12 years that I've been dealing with this excess weight gain. And when I look back on things, it could have been from the constant birth control, I'm sure. But I've had constant health issues, one after another, since I was 23. Things have just been piling up on each other. And this year was kind of the last straw for me. In February, my white blood cell counts were just through the roof. They are in line with those of a leukemia patient. I have gone through testing for leukemia, and all tests have came back negative. Great outcome so far, but we cannot determine what is causing these high white blood cell counts. White blood cell counts also mean inflammation. So I started diving in and trying to dig into what could be causing this, and I saw the weight doc talking about the relationship between inflammation and insulin resistance. And then that's how I found this medication. The weight doc is actually a doctor here in my area. And she literally lives like a half mile from me. She will be my PCP in 2023. I'm like fangirling. We had a conversation
That's
last week, and
amazing.
yeah, I'm like
Right?
so
That's awesome.
excited because although my cancer doctor is like thrilled that I've been losing weight, we still, unfortunately, this medication has not lowered that for me, my inflammation, and my inflammation markers and my white blood cells. Unfortunately, it hasn't done that yet. So now we're moving forward with a bone marrow biopsy, but overall, everything else in my life is improving. And TikTok really has allowed me to kind of like educate myself. And looking back on things, now I realize a lot of the problems that I was facing or the complications that I was having, I think were all due to, insulin resistance and uncontrolled PCOS, and out of control glucose levels. I had no idea prior to starting this journey that I am actually hypoglycemic. I knew none of this. And, educating myself from TikTok, which I know you don't get all your information from social media, but educating myself and like diving deeper, and really watching these professional doctors on here share the information has been what's helped guide me to this point. So happy to be here and continue to share this with you guys.
All right. So I have PCOS and insulin resistance, and I was pre-diabetic at one point. And essentially how I was diagnosed is I was on birth control for 10 years straight, right? And I did the whole like working out consistently, off and on, consistently. And I, right before I got married, I was working out every single day, twice a day, eating healthy. I was on birth control, so I had no idea I had PCOS. And then when I turned 28, I got married and got off birth control because we were like, okay, we've been together for a while, we're going to start trying. And I started gaining weight rapidly. Like I was very fit, working out, and then I stopped the birth control and I started gaining weight very, very rapidly. And so I went to my doctor, talked to them, along with me gaining weight rapidly. My cycle was very wonky, just anywhere from 40 to 60 days. And so I kept thinking every month, like, oh, I must be pregnant, right? Because it's late. So I was undiagnosed. So I started going to the doctors to get testing done. I was then diagnosed with prediabetes. Feel like it's a little bit harder to get the PCOS diagnosis. And so I saw dietitian after dietitian, and finally we did like hormone testing. I got an ultrasound on my ovaries. That's when they noticed all the cysts, and finally came with a PCOS diagnosis. So that's kind of how I was diagnosed with that. And so I kind of went on that journey trying to figure out what works best for me. But I guess those are the three diagnoses I've dealt with. I'm no longer pre-diabetic, thankfully. Thank you. So that's definitely a blessing. So now I just deal with the insulin resistance and PCOS, and with the weight loss that I've already experienced, I can tell it's already helping with the PCOS so much. So did I answer that question? I didn't want to skip ahead to another question.
You did great. Thanks. That's awesome. So my story is that I am a newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic. I was recently diagnosed. I just so happened to find out by opening a piece of mail to see that official diagnosis. Mind you, I had my A1C checked. I've had it checked like every year for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been high. It's been high, but I was never officially diagnosed. So my endocrinologist for my Hashimoto's did tell me to expect it because Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease, and he was like, you'll likely develop diabetes as well. So I was going to my doctor, and she suggested that I try Ozempic. And I won't get too far in there because I am going to jump ahead. But basically, I opened up a piece of mail. It was my lab order, and it was like blood test for type 2 diabetes mellitus. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, she didn't, like, she said it, but she didn't say it. Like, I need you to say it. I need you to say, yes, you're diabetic. So I was like, wait. So I logged into my chart, and it was under there. It was like, discuss new diagnosis, type 2 diabetes mellitus. And I was like, okay. kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. I won't lie. But at the same time, I knew it was coming. My A1C had always been high. It had been high since I had my daughter. So I knew it was coming. But yeah, that's and that's all I have. I do go to get tested for insulin resistance the second week of January. So maybe we'll see what that diagnosis is as well. But that's my story.
Yeah. I saw in the chat that someone mentioned, how do you get diagnosed with insulin resistance? For me, I personally had to go to an endocrinologist. My primary care provider wasn't able to provide that information. I don't know if anyone else has any other feedback on like their personal labs, if you were able to receive that with your primary or not. So you may want to talk to them.
Yeah. Or go see an endo. I don't know what criteria you have to meet, but just ask for a referral. That's what I would do.
I received a lot of my diagnosis from my OBGYN.
Mm-hmm.
That's who kind of sent all my testing and everything and kind of put everything in play for me.
Awesome. Okay, so the question is, who suggested this medication to you, and do you feel like this medication has helped you so far? So we're going to start with you.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, I found it myself. And I was just looking for options because I wasn't feeling comfortable with my doctor, and he was making me feel like I was being dramatic with the symptoms that I was having, and that I just needed to suck it up. And so I didn't know what to do. And so I wasn't taking anything, y'all. I was like thinking, I'm going to manage this with my diet.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't work. And so I found, and I reached out to Join Sequence because I found about it on TikTok. The Weight Doc, and Sam and April were kind of the first ones. Lori, I remember, and just did my own research. And it's funny now because my primary care physician, which I switched primary care physicians, but it's really hard to get an appointment with a doctor. You have to wait, like, especially as a new patient. And so I had found a new primary care physician, but it was going to be like 6 months before I could see her. And I didn't know what to do in the meantime. And so that's when I reached out to Join Sequence. My new primary care physician is very supportive of Mounjaro. And in any, she's like, whatever you want, you're doing great. I will prescribe it for you. And because she saw my improvement and how much weight I've lost and my cholesterol's improved and all that stuff, like drastically. And my blood pressure was normal. I've been on high blood pressure medication since I was 16. And my blood pressure is normal now. They're reducing my my medication. So she said I actually may be able to go off of it. We'll see. So anyway, that's it's helped me so much because my cholesterol's normal, my blood pressure is normal. And don't even get me started on my relationship with food now. It's just so different. We went out to dinner tonight with some neighbors, to this restaurant in our town that none of us had been to. And it's like home style cooking, like soul food, too. And the food was great, but it was just kind of like, I wasn't, it's just so different. Whereas before I would have been like, I can't decide. There's so many good things. Like I would have gotten a little bit of everything. And it's just so different. So I went off on a tangent there, but.
You guys are going to hate me. Can you repeat the question? I was so invested in what Susan was saying. Like I kind of got off track of what we're supposed to be talking about.
Perfectly fine. How did you find the medication, and how do you feel like it's been helping you so far?
Absolutely. Okay. So I found the medication on TikTok. Actually, one of the very first people that I saw was the geriatric millennial. She doesn't post that much content anymore about Mounjaro. She's still on it. And then the weight doc those were the two people that I saw and kind of dived deep into what this medication was, how it physically worked, what the two mechanisms, the GLP-1 and what the GIP was, what those were, and how it actually affected our body. And I have to understand the whole big picture and like what it's doing before I even can move or process anything. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is lowering your glucose levels. This is going to reduce your insulin production. This is, I found out how it helps the type 2 diabetics and how that would correlate to the relationship with my obesity. And hopefully, like my hopes were to help reduce my inflammation and my white blood cells. It has not done that yet, but it has improved my, everything else. And I've lost tons of weight so far and everything else is improving. So we're just waiting for those white blood cells to come down. But that's what I found it on TikTok. And, I thank you guys all the time so much for sharing your stories on TikTok. And it's so weird that we find people and things that are improving our health on social media. Like, yeah. I think, our parents might like be mad at us sometimes. I know my mom is. She's like, you need to get off Facebook or you need to get off social media. But like, it's what's helping me. So yeah, TikTok has been my savior for this.
So, being now on Wegovy. So my primary care doctor recommended this to me. And so I went to him. I was a little bit prior to, I went to him and told him like, I'm always hungry. I'm never satisfied. I'm gaining weight, like that piece. And I was probably about 6 to 8 months postpartum with my second kid. And he's like, well, you're breastfeeding, you're this, you're that. Like, that's normal. And I'm like, okay. Well, finally, when I got to 10 or 11 months postpartum, I went back to him like, no, like I'm like gaining weight very fast. Like, and I'm always like, this is not normal. And I can't keep breastfeeding at this rate. Like, and so he talked to me about, the first thing he says, well, do you want phentermine? If I'm saying that correctly. And I was like, oh no, I don't think that's what I want. Cause that's probably the only weight loss med I knew about, and I've heard people talk about, so I knew nothing about any other medication. So he then explained to me about like Wegovy, Ozempic, Saxenda, and things like that. But he was like, I really want you to try Wegovy. I think you'll be successful. There are side effects that we would monitor to see if it works for you. He said, but it's hard to get insurance to cover it. So we're going to send this in, try to get the PA approved. And then if not, we'll go this other route. So lucky for me, the PA got approved and I started my journey with Wegovy. So, just being a whole year in, it's changed my life dramatically. I've shared a lot, I'm down 83-ish pounds. And I mean, that's like life-changing in itself, although I feel like I have so much further to go. I'm just thankful that my doctor suggested it because it was not on my radar at all. And Wegovy wasn't really big on TikTok. Like, yeah, I'm part of the Facebook group, but I searched for that group after it was already recommended to me. And I can go back and search Wegovy now, and I see people are posting a little bit earlier this year, but I started last December. So then when I stumbled across the Manjaro community, I'm like, this is amazing. And that was already on my radar because I was so deep into following GLP-1s. And my doctor, when I saw him this summer and I was still steadily losing, he was like, well, they also have Manjaro now. So if you hit a stall, we're going to switch you, so like he is very, like, I'm thankful that he's very, I guess, progressive and really
That's
into
awesome.
that kind of thing. Yeah. So, yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. So who suggested this medication, I think was the question. So I actually found out about this medication on Instagram, the same way Kelsey did. Kelsey, who was Jaro Journey. We both followed this woman, Erin Williams. I don't know if you guys remember her, but she was on Big Brother. And she even talked about the weight loss drug she was on. And so it took her a while to finally spill the beans when she had reached her goal weight. She only needed to lose like 20 pounds. And she was like, oh, Manjaro. And so I was searching the hashtag on Instagram for like a week. And I was like, I'm going to TikTok. TikTok teaches me everything. So I came over to TikTok and I surely found over here. The first person I found though was I don't think she posts. She's not very active in the community, but her name is Shantae MUA. She posted
Yes.
about it, and I think Brittany from Becoming Her was the second person that I saw, and I kind of fell down a rabbit hole after that. And then once I learned all I could, I went to my doctor and I messaged her, and I was like, "Hey, so I know I'm on Ozempic, but I haven't been taking it because it makes me sick. So can we switch to Mounjaro?" And she was like, "Well, I need to see you first, of course." And I was like, "Okay." So that's how I found out about it. I found out about it on Instagram, and I just kind of transferred over here because there weren't many people, and I don't think there still are many people over there talking about um, Mounjaro yet. But yeah, that's how I got it.
And I know I mentioned it earlier, but truly, I found it through your page, Cecilia. But if y'all don't follow Cecilia, you should. But her
Oh, thank you.
is around mostly PCOS and insulin resistance. And I followed you because I had a personal TikTok before I started this. And on there I was following people who are on random weight loss journeys and PCOS content and all, because I just like to kind of diversify my For You page for the most part. But if you don't know, so Cecilia does a really great job of like not really talking about the actual medication. She just talks about key medications and how it's helping her in like the overall. So when I tell you I had to go like stalk your page for a while for like one post you finally mentioned that you were Manjaro. I was like, okay. I was so weird to be like, can I message her? She don't know me.
Oh, anybody can message me. Please feel free to
Right.
message me.
No, but it was one of those things where I'm like, okay. So then after I found out the medication you were talking about, I did the overall Manjaro search in TikTok to see. I was like, okay, who else is taking this? What are side effects? Because again, like I was gonna take it to my doctor to say, hey, here's the information I've come with, and let's have a conversation. That didn't even end up happening. So I'm really happy I did that small dive in TikTok. And I think the first few pages I saw or mostly Sam, to be perfectly honest. That was probably the first page that I saw that came up for all of that. It was like, okay, cool. And then went to other people's pages within the comments, really, to where I was like, okay, the symptoms don't sound that bad. It sounds like it's manageable. Let me go ahead and ask regarding that. So that's kind of how I found it. And so far, I don't know how, other than the weight loss, um, I can only speak on what I'm feeling because I have my 3 month follow up next month, so I won't have lab confirmation of this. But I do feel a lot less inflammation in my body, mostly because that's where I used to have all the pain. Like I used to have really bad knee pain and really bad back pain, and it was mostly caused by the inflammation in my body, and that has reduced significantly in the few months that I've been on Manjaro, which has definitely improved my life and quality of life. Where I was able to actually get back into strength training at home when that was not doable before. I was having to do chair workouts because there was just no way I could do that with my knees. Yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. I love all those stories. It just amazes me. Our next question is, how has your experience been when working with providers to receive adequate treatment for your chronic conditions? And I know Susan touched on that a little bit, but we're going to go to Ariel and then work our way down and around. So I can ask that again because I just ran my mouth. But how has your experience been working with providers to receive adequate treatment for your chronic conditions?
I think for this question, it's a little hard because I always just assume that my provider was doing the best that they could, right? So I think the only time that always frustrated me in terms of my obesity more than it does like my PCOS and insulin resistance, because when I would do all of my research, the consistent thing you always saw was metformin control was the only way to treat this. So in my mind, I'm like, well, they're giving me what is said to work. So I don't think regarding that. But in regards to my obesity situation, I guess my treatment has been always the eat less, work out more. And it's like, okay, but I've gotten myself to points where was truly starving myself and working out to an unhealthy level, where I think actually some of my injuries have occurred from because of that. Um, and being kind of labeled as a non-compliant patient, when it came to like, you can tell when a doctor doesn't believe you, like when you go in and they're like, okay, sure, yeah. And you're like, I swear I'm eating right. And so it got to a point, even with my current provider's office, when I started working with them in 2018, we were working on that, talking about my obesity as a secondary piece to my diabetes, right? Um, and I basically would show them, hey, here's a diet log, even though you didn't ask for it. But here's my fitness pal, everything I've eaten. Here's my Apple Watch. Like I bought an Apple Watch specifically for that. Didn't even have it. Didn't care to have one before that. Here's all my workout activity, so you can see that I'm not lying. Can you help me now? Like, and I even had lap band surgery back in 2014. I now weigh, or when I first started, I weighed over 100 pounds more than what I did even when I got lap band surgery. So, it's not like I haven't tried almost everything in the book to try and get this weight off. So it was always so frustrating, um, asking about my inflammation levels, which were so high in all of my lab work. And that's actually why I gravitated more towards Cecilia's story, actually, is because I was also being referred to an oncologist thinking, you may have cancer. And I'm like, what? So they try to treat me for gout. They try to treat me or test me for rheumatoid arthritis and everything else that it could have possibly been. And then they referred me to an oncologist. Went to the oncologist. They went through all my family history. They're like, there's nothing you're like at risk for, so we can't test you for anything. So truly left that appointment thinking, is there a possibility I have cancer and don't know? And that was and like, what do I do now? Like, how, like, just because I'm not at risk doesn't mean that this doesn't possibly happen. And so anyway, that all happened. Then, and I talked to my primary again, asking them, hey, I remember I do have PCOS. I have insulin resistance. I've always been honest with that because I've known about it. Could this lead to my inflammation situation? They're like, we don't think so. So when I saw that video for you saying like that is a possibility and that's what's happened, I was like literally crying because like, oh my fucking God. I'm not insane. I'm not crazy. Like I've been gaslit this whole time. It's not me. Like it's truly my body working against me. Like I don't know how much more I have to restrict myself. Like I just needed to treat my insulin resistance in this case. And that's probably been my my biggest concern, more so because of the diabetes again and PCOS. I thought they were giving me the treatment they were supposed to. It was more my inflammation and my obesity that I always felt like no one really gave a shit, to be honest. Sorry, Cecilia.
I knew we had a connection. I just didn't know how deep it went. And I am, you get so thankful for seeing other people's videos and helping you get led to this point. But I had no idea how impactful my video was for you. And that's just what's touching me really a lot. And I'm just so happy that you found me.
It's me too. Sorry. I'm going to mute my
Miss Susan, I can repeat the question if you need me to.
No, yeah,
Okay.
so my experience with providers, and I shared a little bit about, I mean, overall, I think that most providers throughout my life, I mentioned before, I've had high blood pressure since I was 16. My father had a heart attack when he was 38 and had a quadruple bypass. And so this has been a part of my life, and doctors have always prioritized my family history. And so I felt really good about that. But I so relate to the obesity and them not really addressing that. And so I remember that I went to a doctor, and I've moved a lot. And so I've started with doctors a lot because I've just lived all over the place. And I remember her like very timidly taking a BMI flyer and putting it in my paperwork and handing it to me as I was leaving. And I didn't really and so I like sit in my car and I'm like reading this, and she had like circled, that I was obese, and I was just devastated. And I went back to her the next year, like for my annual, and she did the same thing again, but she never addressed it, like she never said anything, and I didn't know what to say. And so I feel like when I started going down the road to getting weight loss surgery, I did that on my own. Like I sought out the doctor. I did the research. I found, the place where I could go that I felt like was best. And so and once I got there, I mean, they were amazing and they were great. And then I moved again. I was living in Minneapolis, and I moved to North Carolina. And that's when I found the primary care doctor that I was going to before. And he was just very old school, and he was just very much diet and exercise and assumed a lot of things. So he assumed, he would say, well, you're not eating right, instead of asking me, what my diet looked like. And he assumed I didn't exercise, and I always have exercised. And so, and he never asked me, and I just felt very dismissed by him. And so that's, I won't go back into that story, but that's where I got to where I am now. But I really think that for me, my lessons learned has been that you have to find a doctor that you connect with in so many ways. And if you're not feeling like you're on the same page, and you can ask a lot of questions, but you can also get that feeling. Like my new primary care physician, her nurse was so attentive, and then I could hear their conversation they were having before she came in. How like when you go to the doctor, like the nurse asks you everything, and then the doctor asks you everything all over again. You got to repeat yourself 1,000 times. Like that didn't happen. Like they were so connected and on the same page. And I could just tell, like, this is a much better experience. It's a doctor in the same exact practice as my other doctor, but I could just tell this is a better experience and just different. And so that's just my little lesson that I feel like I've learned, is that you have to find a doctor that you connect with. And that's not easy. It takes work. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Okay. Can we repeat the question?
Yep, I got you. How has your experience been working with providers to receive adequate treatment for your chronic conditions?
Okay. I feel like I'm on the same page as Ariel, is that, I trusted my doctors for the longest time, to be testing for the right things, to be looking out for my overall health. And I think this year I just became angry. I became angry that I'm the one that had to finally say, hey, my white blood cells are really high. Every year it has gone up for the last 10 years, but it jumped very high just year over year this time. I had to ask to be seen to a specialist. I had to ask for that. And, I just have became very angry with the care team that I've had over the years. I will say my oncologist, he's amazing. No hate to him. But all of my doctors that I've been seeing for the last 15, 20 years, I'm very angry with. I was overlooked. I went through blood work. I'm very nerdy. I pull up blood work and I will Google what something means. And like I go through and I look at things. I was never tested for diabetes. My A1C has never been tested. They checked my glucose levels. And when I went back for the past 5 years, my glucose levels have been very high compared to what they are now. No doctor has ever like looked at that. My glucose levels now run around like 70 to 80, and like that's good. That's like my constant for me. And when I look back at old paperwork, they were at 180 to 200, and like no wonder I didn't feel good. No wonder I was never okay. I currently am using a telehealth provider called Alpha Health, or Alpha Medical, for this specific journey. And I feel like I get more care from them, more attention from them. And maybe it's because they're focusing on this. But they are the ones that recommended a glucose monitor for me. It was a dietitian, actually. She's the one who asked me how I felt after I eat foods. She's the one that made the correlation to my blood sugar dropping. She's the one that had me monitor my glucose readings for about a month and let her know. And that's how we found out I'm hypoglycemic. It's like these people I'm not even seeing in person have more care for me or more drive for my health. And like I said, maybe it's because that's what they're focusing on than any doctor I've ever seen in person. I'm very thankful that we do have Myra and Jenna that are here out in the weight loss community that are trying to fix the narrative and trying to provide preventative care for obesity rather than reactive. And, they're trying to be proactive instead of reactive. But Alpha Health has been amazing to me and helped me on this journey more than any doctor I've ever seen in person.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
So I've had several doctors throughout the years, just because I'm here in Kansas. I've moved to Oklahoma. I've moved back to Kansas. And so that's where my journey began. And I started with the pre-diabetes diagnosis and that shame of pre-diabetes diagnosis, being scared, like, keep on this path and you're going to be diabetic, and there's no, just that scare that they give you. I remember going through that piece. I went through the phase of diet and exercise is the way to go. I can count, I've dealt with so many dietitians, every time I get a new doctor, they send me to a new dietitian and I go through them. And, I've been on the metformin to try to help with the PCOS and insulin resistance and, had terrible side effects with that. But, that was my only option. So I just tried to watch what I eat even more when I was taking that medication. And, my doctor in Oklahoma, when I was seeing that dietitian, they had put me on recommended like this supplement called Instatol, something like that. I don't. You're familiar with that, Ariel? So yeah, so I tried that. It was like a powder you put in your water to try to help regulate. Yeah, so I did that for a little while, and I honestly could tell a slight difference with that in regards to just my cycle. Not anything with my weight. I've been in countless weight loss competitions trying to lose the weight for motivation and diet and exercise and all of that. So, I'm thankful for this because, it's completely changed things, and I wish it was an option back then, but really just all my doctors have shamed me to not become diabetic. I'm already pre-diabetic. Take metformin, watch what you eat. I had already cut out, I don't drink sugary drinks. You know what I mean? I don't do that. I mean, candy was my downfall. Not going to lie there. But you know what I mean? You just do what you can. But, when I got back here to Kansas, my OBGYN is the one who listened to me mainly. And that's when she started me just trying to figure out what we can do. One, trying to conceive. So a lot of people go through this journey and discover PCOS when they're trying to conceive, and that's how I discovered it, So she was like, well, what can we do to get your cycle regular so you can have a baby? And then once I started that journey with kids, and the weight just pounds on after that. So did I answer your question all the way, Candice?
It did.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can get like, especially when you're in it, you can kind of go just different ways. So
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know them kids. I'll tell you.
So, my experience working with providers has been great. My doctor is awesome. I love her. I love all my doctors. The only one I don't like is my gastroenterologist, but that's okay. My cardiologist, all of them are all on board with whatever I want to do, and as long as it's beneficial and within reason, right? So my primary, I just love her so much.
Yay.
I cannot explain. She is so attentive. She listens. She doesn't rush. You know how some doctors are like, okay, and they're rushing you to like get through the appointment. Like no, she's like my therapist too. She's like, well, how are
Yeah.
you feeling? And then I had an issue where I was anxious, and she was like, well, tell me about it. And we talked through and walked through like what things
Yeah.
did. And as a primary, you don't find that too often. So when I came to her about Manjaro, of course, she wanted to see me. Obviously, she has to lay eyes on me. But as far as treatment goes, she was awesome. And even my endo is on board. He's on board with me getting treatment and finding these GLPs and all that stuff. So I've had a great experience. I can't knock them. I love them. I'm not going anywhere.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah, you're so lucky and
Yes.
fortunate.
I am. I am.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I might need to know your doctor, Candice. I'll drive to St. Louis or your area for that.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
have to say though, I saw someone in the comments said, and I'm with Join Sequence. And when I found my new primary care doctor, I had originally thought, well, I won't stay with them, but I love my doctor there so much that I found her to be very attentive and you have to message them, and that sort of thing. It takes a couple of days, but my regular doctor's like that too. So I have to say, if anyone is looking for a doctor, they are doctors there, and it's a good program. I've had a great experience.
And they're always going to be like a hit or miss for different programs, right? Because like we do people who come on who maybe don't enjoy their provider on said telehealth app.
Yeah.
People who do. So it's like, unfortunately, just like real life.
Yep. That's right.
Can I get a different?
Yep. That's right.
Swipe.
You can ask for a different person.
Keep swiping.
Yeah.
Swipe.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
Find your
Find
swipe.
someone that's gonna listen. And I think that's what we all say. We all say in this community, and we hear, well, this doctor won't prescribe me this, or my doctor, find a new one, because there will be someone that will prescribe you, and you don't want someone that's not going to listen to you, And I think as you can tell in our stories, we've all had an instance where that happened, I dealt with GI issues in the past, and they basically made me feel like it was in my head. The pain was in my head. And it's like, okay. And I went and changed doctors, and he was like, let's get you tested for this, this, and this. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. That's all I need. So same thing with any other thing you deal with. So.
Yeah. Same thing with the prescriptions. Go to a different pharmacy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just call someone else.
Keep knocking on those doors.
Yes. That was me today. Y'all, I'm trying to find some 10 milligrams. I'm calling all over the place.
Yes.
Yes, fingers crossed.
So the next question we've already kind of discussed on, so I might do it a little bit just in case if you would like to answer that type of question. So what other medications have you taken prior to your current to helping you with your chronic condition? So also maybe asking in a way of what other things have you done to help you with your weight loss in the past? So if you've already kind of touched on your medication and don't want to retouch on that again, you're more than welcome to adjust that question.
You want me to go first? Okay, sorry. Yeah. Well, I had already shared. If you weren't on earlier, I've taken for my diabetes. I've taken Rybelsus and metformin, and tried to control it with diet. And I've also had weight loss surgery. I had the gastric sleeve, 2015, yeah, That's what I tried. I tried everything to lose weight. Everything,
Yeah.
y'all, everything. Weight Watchers forever, like forever. Nutrisystem, anything and everything. Fin, like back when it was like, bad. And I lost a ton of weight then. But yeah, it's just that's my life. That's probably more than anything what I've done. So.
Okay, so my story may be a little bit different as I haven't tried a lot of things. I was very athletic growing up. In school, I was in volleyball, basketball, cheerleading, dance. I was a very active child. And probably after high school and into college, that's about the point where the weight started coming on. And at no point every time I was worried about my weight, I always said, "Oh, I can lose it. There's no problem. I can lose it." I think the benchmark, I think I said earlier in a video this week, I had my gallbladder taken out, and at that time I was 190 pounds, and I was like, "Oh, I'm thick." But I don't think I'll ever have trouble losing the weight. I'll just hit the gym or go play a volleyball game. I think I'll be okay. And after that point, I'm sure with the birth control and everything else, it just compiled on. I did see a doctor probably around the age of 25, 26. And I was very concerned at that point. I was way over 230. So probably 40, 50 pounds very quickly that I had put on. He put me on 40 milligrams of Adderall. I don't know if anybody else takes Adderall. I take a low dose now for my ADHD, and a low dose is great. I've never taken crack, but I felt like something was off. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping,
Yeah.
I was watching probably 12 hours of YouTube videos and tutorials of things. I was going to DIY my entire house. Like everything was spotless. I mean, it was very strange. I probably lasted on that a couple months until I just couldn't do it anymore. But no doctor ever looked at anything else. They gave me Adderall. They never gave me any other weight loss medication. They never gave me anything else. They never checked for anything else. They weren't concerned. And so, yeah, my story's a little different. Like, I haven't really tried anything. Diet and exercise, I failed many times. But the Adderall was probably the biggest overwhelming thing that a doctor had ever given me for that.
Wow.
Yeah. And 40 milligrams at that. I'm on 10 milligrams now as needed. And it definitely helps. But never again. Never again will I ever do that.
Crazy.
I kind of touched on a little bit the things I've tried. I mean, I think I was able to keep my weight at bay with diet and exercise while I was on birth control because the PCOS and insulin resistant was kind of held down with those hormones. So right the year before I got married, I was, like I said, working out religiously and eating chicken breast, which I will not touch now because I ate it every single day. So stuff like that. And I mean, I was probably in the best shape of my life until I stopped birth control, and then it just went haywire and was put on the metformin and told the diet and exercise that Instatol. Am I saying that right? Yeah, it has Instatol in it, the little pink package. I'm surprised other people know about that. I don't know if it's still around, but anyways, that. I tried that, and then once you have kids, and they limit you and what you can do. So I probably did metformin off and on for the years until I discovered this. I did try Orange Theory Fitness last year after, and then I got pregnant, so had to stop that. But I was doing Orange Theory Fitness before the pandemic hit, and I was having success. I could tell I was getting in shape, but it was very, very slow going. And so then I found this. So
Cool.
Found Wegovy. So,
Yes, Wegovy. So I was on Ozempic. So some of you know I was on Ozempic before I switched to MJ. Ozempic, I had the worst side effects. However, knowing what I know now, if I knew what I know now then, is that yes, it would have been different. Like the side effects, I don't think I would have like backed out fast. So I have tried Ozempic. I did lose 22 pounds on Ozempic. Ozempic did not quiet the food brain and the all of that. It just made me nauseous and like suppress my appetite. Like I couldn't eat. You can't eat when you're nauseous and throwing up and all that other stuff. Um, but before that, I like you ladies have done everything. I've done 21 Day Fix. I was successful on all of those. I've done Weight Watchers. Um, I've done you name it. I've done paleo. I went pescatarian. I went vegetarian. Like I did all of that more recently because before that, when Weight Watchers and 21 Day Fix were successful, that was looking now. That's pre high A1C. So that was before I started having issues with my A1C and before I developed Hashimoto. So we're talking mid to late 20s. I'm 36 if you don't know, but just looking back, those things were successful then, but they didn't work now. Like they don't work for me now. I can't do it now. So um, medication it is, and I'm going to take this medication and run with it. So
yeah,
that's just what it is. I love it. But yeah,
I did try Weight Watchers too. I think everybody's tried
I
Weight
think everybody's
Watchers.
done Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
Like
That's
Lori
right.
says on her videos, we're unapologetically taking
That's
this
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
yes,
I would say
yes.
I've been for my diabetes. I've been, like I mentioned before, the metformin, and then the Trulicity, and now the Mounjaro. Right, so that's kind of been my diabetes treatment. But for obesity, I've been the overweight kid my entire life, from at least probably 7 years old ish. So I actually really don't remember a time where I haven't been on a diet. I remember even being in middle school when the cabbage and lemonade Beyonce diet was popular, like doing that in middle school, doing Jenny Craig, doing Nutrisystem. I went to Curves for a minute there too.
Curves, yes, I did curves.
yes. I
I did
remember that too.
right there. I did keto, and for PCOS, I'm sure if you've gone into any of that content ever in the last like 10 years, you see so many people talking about dairy free and gluten free being the only way to treat it. And I tried, I gave it a good month and just couldn't continue, especially with the gluten situation. I was like, I'd rather be fat. I'm sorry. I was so sad and angry at the time. Like Triplet Dad mentioned in the comments, I even did the HCG diet where you're basically only eating like 600 calories a day and doing HCG shots once a week. As I mentioned, I also did the lap band surgery in 2014. I've done so much over the last few years where I'm like, I'm sure my body's tired and over it. This past year, I went back to saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I guess I'm doing something wrong. So let me at least work with a personal trainer and a dietitian to see again this year, try it all again. So did hardcore macro counting and working out. And my highest weight, and I say this as my highest known weight because I know I weighed higher. I just refused to step on the scale because I was afraid to see the number. But my highest known weight was 350 pounds. I lost 10 of those, like almost 10 pounds at the beginning of 2022. Hello. Hi. I was like, what year are we in again? And the reason I went back is because I wanted to go see what my measurements were because I had to do a tape measure situation for that trainer. And I weighed 343 point something pounds at the beginning of the year. So from that to the start of Mounjaro in mid-September, I was exactly 330 when I started Mounjaro. So it took almost 9 months. No, let's just say 8 months ish to lose 10 pounds ish. And now I'm almost I'm almost like another 30 pounds down in my 13 weeks, where it's like, that's all I wanted. I just want
Right. Yeah.
Nothing changed from before. If anything, I stopped working out in my month and a half when I first started because I didn't know how my body was going to react. And I didn't want to do the same thing of overworking out and not eating enough, possibly to harm myself. So I stopped working out for the first month, realized I could still eat the correct amount that I needed to maintain the healthy workout schedule. Went back to working out, but my eating stayed the same. So the fact that I was still seeing that 1 to 2 pound weight loss that I should have been seeing alone, now finally with the medication, I was like, this is what I needed.
Yeah.
So anything under the sun, just like how most of you mentioned, right? I've done it all before. And Herbalife is also
crazy to think.
I did Herbalife too.
Yeah. It's like
I'll say I did Advocare. So I did the Advocare, a little bit of Herbalife. Listen, there's so much out there.
So much.
There is. And they're making money. They're making money.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Our next question. I want you guys to think about this in terms of beginning of when you realized something was wrong or different. If someone had offered you when you first started feeling bad, if someone had offered you Mounjaro or Wegovy or Ozempic, then before you were diagnosed, would you have taken it?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. It shouldn't matter. I don't think that anyone is more entitled to any of these medications than anyone else. Because it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take you being diagnosed to get something that can help you. And so I absolutely, I would, and I encourage people to advocate for themselves and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let anybody shame you.
Definitely.
Not even the trolls on TikTok.
Yeah.
No.
Blocked and blessed. Goodbye.
Blocked and blessed.
Have you guys seen the thumbs down button?
Yes, I do it all the time.
Me too.
I do it all the time.
Are we individually commenting on this?
Yeah, you can if you want to. Absolutely. I think it's a all around yes, a sweep, but absolutely.
I just want to say, before starting this journey, I don't think I realized how sick I was. Nearly every day, maybe 100 to 200 times a day, I would say I didn't feel good. I would not leave my house by myself to run errands.
David?
You're
outside?
I would not leave my house. I would not leave my house by myself to run errands because I was afraid I was going to be out in public and not feel good and be by myself and not be able to get home. I would not go to the grocery store, which is only a mile from my house, because I was afraid that I would get there and not feel good. And my feel goods were like, I would get so lethargic. I would get headaches. I would get achy. I would get stomach pains. And I don't have that now. And I wish I didn't have to go through the last over 10 plus years of my life feeling like that. And knowing that there was a simple medication that I could take to make me feel better. And I'm sad that no doctor, ever really even tested me for diabetes or even looked at my A1C. No doctor has ever looked at that. And, I just wish I would have had this sooner. I would have not had so many days of saying I didn't feel good.
I mean, I think, Mounjaro, Wegovy, all these different haven't been around forever. Like Ozempic's been around for probably quite a bit of time now, but it takes the doctors to do their research. And I think, you encounter some doctors that don't want to do the extra research and go through those pieces and learn. So I think that is a disservice to their patients. And, because this could have been helping lots of people a long time ago, Same thing with the struggle with
Absolutely.
people trying to get Mounjaro who are not type 2 and want to use it for the obesity piece. It's like, you know what I mean? Why do they have to wait until there's a weight loss version of Mounjaro? You know what I mean? I just don't get it.
Because it works. It works now. It
I
works
know.
fine. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I guess
it's
I would say it's the
working.
same reason why insurance doesn't cover weight loss medications. You know, where's the easy way out? You know, if we're healthy, we need less medication. If we're healthy, we don't end up in the hospital. You know, and those different pieces. I can go on forever.
Which is unfortunate. In the end, right? It still has to cover portions of that. So you would think they would want you to be healthier,
right?
So you don't have to worry about paying those things. Like you would hope for that, right? But unfortunately, no, that's not the American healthcare system. That's another thing. Yeah, I definitely could rant about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that with the insurance, and I'm thankful my insurance is covering my Mounjaro, but you know, there's just so much work that has to be done with insurance, and you know, obviously I'm not capable of tackling that, but you know, some people having to, and the list of the medications that I should have to try to take
Right.
before getting to Mounjaro. And thankfully they didn't make me, but my doctor did had to prove that I had taken other drugs and what drugs I had taken and how long I had taken them. You know, and that's just, and I get it, but it's just, something's got to be done about it.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I'm thankful my insurance covers the Wegovy as well.
Mine covers the Mounjaro. I was going to say Trulicity, but that is not what I'm on.
That's long gone.
Mounjaro.
Yeah.
So we kind of answered the next question, which was how do we feel about non-diabetics without insulin resistance or PCOS taking Mounjaro, Wegovy, or other GLPs for weight loss? And we all kind of answered like it should be available for everybody. But if you have anything else to say about that, you definitely can.
No,
I'm so sorry. I think we just need to continue to educate and share that information. I don't think that we're sharing enough of how it's helping diabetics and the correlation and of how it helps obesity and how those run parallel to each other. I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes from because there is such a stigma on obesity. It's working the exact same way as it is for you with type 2 diabetes, as it is for me. I'm just not at that stage with my glucose levels and my A1C. It just hasn't reached that part. And that's how it is for many of the people with obesity. And I think if we could try to educate and share that information, I know Myra and Jenna are doing their best to try to, you know, change the stigma of obesity care. I think all of us in the community, as long as we can continue to share that information, one day that may change. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but all we can do is try.
I think the hard part too is that here's the reality, unfortunately, for a lot of people that we're seeing here on TikTok, but also for journalists, right? For all these articles that are recently coming out, it is like there's so many of us on here who are type 2 diabetics who are like, I'm so excited that you didn't have to get there and that you were getting the treatment that you deserve and needed before you got to the point that I'm personally at, right? Like, I don't want somebody to ever have to get to where, like, I almost couldn't get out of bed because that's how large I was and how sick I felt. Like, I didn't even want to look at possibly going into a store because I would be in so much pain. I never want someone to. So you deserve treatment as much as anyone else. The problem that we're seeing, or not really the problem, like the people who are coming in saying these things or writing that narrative, let's just call it what it is. It's the fat phobia that they have, because until that's no longer a thing. And unfortunately, I don't know how much education you can provide to these people when that's their feelings and values and things like that. where they just don't see that fat people deserve any type of care, treatment, love, joy. Let's be real. So like, so when I say that to say, if you have those people coming into your comments or coming into your lives or seeing that journal, just F them. I know I don't want to say the full word because I don't want anybody to get banned, but truly, like, it's not their life. They are an unhappy person, and their self hatred is showing with their hate that they want to give to others. And I just tell you, be unhappy in your life. It's not my responsibility to educate you to be kind to people because you're an ugly human being and you can go live your life being ugly.
Preach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
100. You know,
Black
and
and
You know what I like
bless.
to say?
Black and bless.
and I think a lot of people do it just to get a rise out of you. I really do think a lot of those trolls are just trying to get a rise out of you. And every once in a while I'll give in. But, it just, you just have to be yourself. But I think us sharing our stories and, and sharing our perspectives and what's happening in our lives because of this, like, I every time I share something, I think, you know what, if this helps like one person, or if this lets one person even think they should think differently, then I'm going to do it. And somebody had said in the comments, like, look how, like, so many of us share our weight. And like, y'all, before TikTok, like, I thought I weighed more than everybody.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, I don't know why, but I thought like I like have to weigh more than everyone. And I see people, I'm like, she looks so awesome. And we weigh the same thing, or she weighs more than me. And so I started sharing my weight. Never imagined that I would share my weight publicly. My husband doesn't even know how much I weigh, but I'm sure he's seen it on TikTok.
Yeah.
But now he knows. But
Okay.
it's crazy how, like, those little things, and those are the small steps. And like you said, the doctors, they're doing the hard work, but every little bit that we can do helps.
I'm the same, Susan. I would not talk about my weight to my husband. I'm like, I'll tell you, and now I share it a lot on here. I'm very cognizant about like my starting weight being maybe somebody's goal weight too, and understanding that, and to kind of circle back to your question about people being able to get it, as a woman, especially, there's so many different factors that come into weight gain, especially around hormones outside of PCOS and things like that, that it's just so hard to control. And once you start gaining the weight, your hormones are just out of whack, So if there's something that can be given to kind of put that back in check, like, I think it should be given. And if, to me, the doctor being the professional is recommending that be the option, you know what I mean, to treat it, then who is the company, the insurance, the pharmacist to say that that's not the right way to go? So yeah, so on top of the trolls and the haters, the misinformation's out there, and you have these top news places reporting misinformation. So it's like you're battling like just a big system.
Also
You
super
really are. You really are.
Yeah.
the support of the TikTok community, like, I don't think I would have ever to share my weight or any
Yeah.
of going through without seeing, okay, so other people are going through similar things or similar experiences, similar to this, where it's like, I really thought I was in this lonely island by myself
Yeah.
for so long. Because, like, while some of my family may now be overweight, they weren't overweight their whole lives, right? So there's different things for them, right? So it's been, and it's so hard, right? Because you're like how you said earlier, Cecilia, where it's like we're always told, like, don't believe social media, but social media saved my life, basically. Like, without this, without knowing that this existed, I think I'd be in that downward spiral all over again. So that's kind of where I'm beyond thankful for the support and the amazing stuff that we share here on TikTok. Thank you.
Me too. And it's crazy how many people. So my TikTok was already like my public TikTok, like friends and family had it, but the amount of people I run into are like, if I'm at a gathering or something, they're like, "Oh yeah, so this medicine you're on, tell me about it because I think I might need it." And I'm like, "Oh girl, let me tell you." So I've
Yeah.
never been like a very private person when it comes to things like that. So if you would ask me why I wait, I would have told you, and I would have been like, okay, now you know. What are you gonna do with that information? Like, that's just always been my viewpoint on certain things. And I think when I see these trolls, especially bothering like genuinely sweet people who like are just here to share and spread the love, like I get so angry, and I'm like, babe, mind the business that pays you. Like, why? What does someone else taking this medication have to do with you? Like, what does it have to do
Right.
with you? It has absolutely
Yeah.
nothing to do with you. Doesn't affect your pockets. People with diabetes before were doing fine before Manjaro. There's still other GLPs. Like, why is it like bothering you so bad that you have to attack random people on the internet that you don't even
Yeah.
know? But anyways, I'm off my horse. Sorry.
Yeah, it makes I do not get it. I really do not get it. It's
Yeah.
and the people that say, "Oh, I'm a diabetic," and you're taking it from me, like, and I had one of those on my videos,
Yes.
and it's just like, what? You have lots of
Yeah.
options. There are lots of options. Yes, it's a great drug. Yes, we all would love to be on any of these, but there's so many other options. And like I said, no one's going to die. No diabetic is going to die if they don't have their Manjaro.
It's not insulin, babe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Mommy,
not.
I guess I get so confused by those comments because it's like you have the same access to it as I do.
Right.
Is it because I'm making the phone call to call different pharmacies that's upsetting you, or is it that I actually have it and you didn't put in the work to locate a doctor that would give that to you?
Right.
I just get so confused and like so flustered with those comments, but I let them roll off my back. But yeah, it's not insulin. I think that's the biggest misconception is like I see a lot of comments. Oh, they need this to live. Well, no, actually they don't.
No.
And I think that's where there's just people are so uneducated between the difference
Right.
between type 1 and type 2. Diabetes has a stigma of like this unhealthy disease that they don't understand what actually is happening with either or.
Right.
And what this medication actually does. So
For sure.
I had this is totally random, but you just said something that reminded me. I had a family member by marriage who said, "I didn't know that you had diabetes," and I guess they'd found my TikTok or whatever, because I have like two TikToks. This is like a more private one. It used to be, but people find it, and he said, I was surprised. He said, I know, I was surprised your dad has diabetes because he's thin.
Mm.
And I was just like, oh, I don't know. It just like slapped me in the face, I was just like,
people. Yeah.
the ignorance.
Yeah. A lot of people are miseducated about diabetes and the difference between the two and all kinds. And most of you guys know here, diabetes is close dear to my heart. My 5-year-old's a type 1 diabetic who was diagnosed at 1. And we get so many people that make comments to us. And I'm like, it's an autoimmune disease. Like, he had no control. Like, there's nothing he could have done, And so, I mean, honestly, for me, I didn't know the difference between the two until I knew diabetes. I knew type 2. I had no idea until he was diagnosed. So it's like really just educating people on the differences. And same thing with gestational diabetes. It doesn't matter, who it targets. So, yeah.
Look, Misty, send them my way because they're not about to attack a baby.
Yeah.
Send them my way. I'll talk.
Put the gloves on.
Right.
I like
Exactly.
Sean also mentioned like where people will mention that it's cheating. Like, so I'm like, okay, well, the only time that comment irks me is when I've seen it sometimes from our berry friends where I'm like, babes, that's the same comment we both get.
yeah.
I'm like, that's not, it's like, it's not the hit you think it is going to be. It's like, it's almost like disappointing more than it is hurtful to hear it from them. That doesn't happen very often. It's just the few times that I've seen it where I was like, I get you're frustrated and you're sad, so I'm just going to let it go. Like, bye. But it's,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's not cheating. Like, again, this is a tool.
You're
Like,
right.
this is not a magic drug that because I'm taking it, that's the reason I'm losing the weight. You still got to control what you're eating. You still got to control the movement. You still got to do all the other fun stuff to actually make it. So it's just the tool to help you get there. It is not a magic drug. It is not eating.
Yeah. And there's no easy way out. Everything, there's a level of hardness to all of it.
Do any of you get tips?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you have to work at it. And I think some people do think that I had a comment and I think I did a video about it, but when I said like, I have to work really hard to get the results I'm having, and they're like, can I ask, like, what do you mean? Like, what work? And, and I think it was a legitimate question. I don't think it was, and so, but I do think some people think that it's just, you're going to take it and that's all you have to do. And especially if you join the Facebook groups.
Well, it's like
They're
you lose,
wild.
I would say you would lose that weight, that initial chunk of weight, but if you're not putting in the extra effort, making sure your eating is better, you're getting your protein in, you're trying to get some movement in, you're going to stall out. And that's where you're going to be like, I'm not seeing anything, because you're not doing those extra pieces that are needed. And then you're kind of stuck. So,
yeah.
Sorry, Tiffany had a question. Do any of you hold that type 2 diabetes can't be reversed? And there's people that says it can. Technically, it can go into remission, but that will depend. Like, again, you need to speak with your doctor because I want to say it's roughly like remission will be that you do not see a spike in your glucose and A1C over a certain amount of months without medicated assistance. But that is definitely a question for your provider. So I won't say it's technically reversed. I would say there is a potential for remission, though. So please chat.
And the weight doc, the weight doc has a video on that as well. And from my understanding, I think most autoimmune diseases can't be reversed. They can only go into remission, like Crohn's disease, diabetes, lupus, things of that nature. So, and I only know that because it runs in my family, MS, all of this stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, when my A1C got down low this last time, or lower, much lower, it's still not out of the woods. But my doctor and I had that conversation, and he said, to my doctor, she said, you will always be a diabetic. And so now I may be able to manage it and like you're saying, be in like remission. But from my understanding, my doctors have shared that, I will always be considered diabetic.
Mm-hmm. Last question, Candice.
Oh, sorry. If you could tell the world one thing about your perspective on Mounjaro, what would it be?
Am I first? You're going first.
I think it's me. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, we've gone everywhere. Honestly, I think that I've already said kind of what I would say to anybody, which I've told plenty of people in my life now, where I think it's beneficial for so many people for various chronic conditions, including obesity, which is a chronic condition. And I just hope that at some point in time that it will be accessible, and that means both by provider and financial wise for a whole bunch of people, because this can truly change many people's lives, having access to some form of a GLP medication, not just Mounjaro. So, yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I definitely agree. And, my perspective is it has changed my life. and I want that for other people. And whether they take Mounjaro or Wegovy or whatever, I want more people to know that you have options and that you have help, and to not think that they've got to go to Weight Watchers or do keto or live with it. And that is what I just want us to share and get the message out to as many people as possible that they have options and that there is help, and that this is not, whether you're obese or you're diabetic or whatever, it is not your fault. It is not your fault. And I just wish someone had told me that so long ago. My doctor at Sequence said that to me in my first 30 seconds on the phone with her. And I didn't know that, y'all. I didn't know that until August of this year, that me being a diabetic is not my fault.
Oh, that was a great
You're muted,
takeaway
Ariel.
from that.
Oh.
So honestly, from everything, what I really saw from the videos of all of it, all of your progress, how you guys have all grown, watching you guys start doing your makeup again, start doing your hair on lives. I want you guys to understand that your weight does not define your worth. And honestly, health is wealth. That is where we're at now. And, I love seeing all of the glow come back in your faces. I love seeing that you're doing your lashes. I love seeing you feel more confident in yourself, and that the number on the scale does not define any of that. And that's why I really don't have a necessary goal weight. I just want to be healthy, and I am here rooting you all on. And that's really my takeaway from this whole entire journey. And being in this community is that, I just want to be healthy, and I'm here cheering you all on.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Question is me, right? Sorry, I got an extra person popping up in the background.
I know, I see that.
What was the question again?
If you could tell the world
If you could tell,
yeah, go ahead.
One thing.
If you could tell the world one thing about your perspective on Wegovy, what would it be?
That it's amazing. That is truly amazing. You know what I mean? And when you put the work in, you really can hit some of your goals. You know what I mean? For me, I've been lucky enough to not gain at all my weight back, you know what I mean? And so weeks, I think I went through a month with a stall, but to me, I wasn't gaining new weight, so that was a plus, you know what I mean? So really just sharing the benefits of being on the medication, and that it's available, Most people are using Wegovy as a backup plan right now, with the coupon and everything going on. And if anybody has questions, they can message me. I will answer all the questions. I can't say enough good things about Wegovy. Yeah.
that's awesome. I don't think I can, Susan, just she took my thoughts and she ran with it. But if I could tell the world one thing about my perspective, is that it's not a magic pill. We've said this in other lives before. This is a tool, and you have to use it as such. And this should be to get your health in the right direction. Use this as a tool to get your health in the right direction. You can't just take it and think you're going to go eat, a few cheeseburgers and all that other stuff. You have to still move your body and eat a healthy, balanced diet. And the medication will assist you in getting to where you need to be health-wise, whether it's A1C, PCOS, insulin resistance, or weight loss. But yeah.
Love it.
All right, I'm done. My daughter's trying to get my attention. I'm done. I can't even think anymore.
That was very
Yes.
kind of had. Is there anything that any of you ladies feel like you'd like to add or feel others should know before we end it out?
I love y'all.
Okay,
No.
be
This
kind
was
to yourself
fun.
on your journey. Be kind to yourself on your journey. Take out your I only lost a half a pound, I only lost a pound, like it's progress. But just truly be kind to yourself. And then when you are talking about your journey, like I said, realizing that someone's starting point is your goal weight, and all those different pieces, because that is important. So yes, self-love.
I think I became very mindful when posting content on here. I'm very mindful to not share going to the pharmacy and picking up my prescription, because I know so many people are struggling. Or I'm very mindful of not necessarily always sharing what I eat in a day, because that may be harmful for somebody to take that wrong. Or maybe they think that they're eating too much or too little. And, we just have to be mindful that we're already vulnerable in this situation, and we're already like eating at ourselves because we need to lose weight. So I just try to be mindful that we all have different starting points, and what we share could affect somebody.
Sure. I'm actually going to share a piece of information that I received this Monday from a friend who is actually just starting Manjaro. She had a lot of anxiety around it. Her doctor had been telling her about it for about 3 months before she finally saw me randomly on a live. Because again, this is not my one I normally share with friends and family. Anyway, so we met up at a coffee shop to talk, and one of the biggest things she said to me, she's like, what I want more people to know in this community is that it's important to love yourself in the body you have now, and to learn to love yourself now, because it's just going to be that much harder when you get to your quote unquote goal weights, or 50 pounds, whatever, down the line. It's not going to be any easier then. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but it's how do we slowly work to already improve that self-confidence, that self-love, that self-talk that we do to ourselves as well, and love bodies the way they are now, even if you may not be where you technically want to be happy. And this is something I'm implementing now for myself, and where it's, what am I happy about? Like, what am I happy for my body doing for me today? Like, I'm happy that I was actually able to walk around a Target for the first time in forever, so like, I'm happy that my body allowed me to do that without pain. Sometimes it's just going to be, I'm happy my body let me get up out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's finding the things that you love that your body's doing for you now, and building on them. That was very special. I lived right in a coffee shop. Like, thankfully we were by ourselves.
That's so awesome, and so important, and so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's just and I know I've shared, like, I hated my body for so long, and how I look for so long. It's so hard. I'm 48 years old, y'all. I mean, like, how do I like start to love that now? And I'm learning from so many people here how to do that. But that's really hard. It's hard. The mental aspect of the weight loss is really hard.
Most
Definitely.
And if y'all aren't following Dr. Joy, y'all need to be following Dr.
Yeah.
Joy.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing. If you're, I know people are not ready for that conversation yet, but when you're ready, go find her, Dr. Joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies. It was great.
Yes, thank you so much for asking us. This is my first time, and I enjoyed this. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for
you killed it.
Yes,
You
it was
You're gonna
really
have to teach
good.
me
Really
the hard
good.
thing. I
know
can't.
you do a really good heart thing.
You do a really. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
I was like, I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna
like,
get on your live next, and you're gonna have to show me how to do it. Cecilia, I'm like, let's practice.
Maybe it's more my nails. I think maybe it's my nails.
Yeah. I don't know.
Make
There you go.
mine are like
Got
this.
it.
I'm like, what? No, you got to do it like that. I can't do it.
So we'll have to do it again. This was fun.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you guys
this
for
was.
asking me to be on. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you. You're so
fangirling over here,
beautiful. So
Susan.
sweet.
Oh, come
Yes.
on.
I know.
I've been
No,
watching you for
Yes.
a very long time, and I did not know you were the Susan that until I saw the user and the flyer and everything. I was
yeah.
like, your southern sweet voice has
I
always
know.
just made me smile, and your daily walks. I mean,
I know.
I loved it.
Yes.
So I'm fangirling over here. I've enjoyed watching your journey.
Oh, thank you so much.
For
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I've
I just knew
enjoyed
she was gonna
watching
tell me.
each of you guys
No,
too. And I love all of your videos too. And you have educated me so much on insulin resistance. Like
Oh,
there's so much I didn't know. I mean, I have learned so much from you.
well,
So
thank
it's
you.
just it's an amazing community. Misty's babies are I see the babies.
They're like,
They're like,
Yeah, that's my type 1 diabetic right here.
oh,
oh,
sweetie.
Yeah, he's my twin.
he's so cute.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm
they-
saying hi to you. Oh Lord. Yeah. I was like, you got someone trying to peek into.
I know,
Yeah, my
Candice.
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
He
my
won't go to
daughter. She
bed
keeps
till I
asking me
put
when I'm
him to
gonna be
bed.
done.
That's him. You
Oh,
can just
Yeah.
put me down for 1 minute, just 1 minute.
for sorry, because you did ask me earlier, but if anybody else is interested and wants more information on it, that's in the chat. We're doing a Move More challenge for January. It's the overall guidelines is 3 workouts in the week for at least 20 minutes, whatever type of movement you want. If you have any questions about it, just DM me and I'm happy to help you sign up for that app.
I am signed up.
Awesome.
And we got raffle prize.
That's awesome. All right,
That'll be
ladies.
awesome.
Well,
All
good
right,
night.
guys.
It's
Thank
10:11. Hey, I'm
you.
Candice. I stayed up.
Oh.
You did. Thank you, Susan.
My
thank you
husband's
so
shocked.
much for
He's like,
coming,
"You're
because I
never
would
up
be
this
able
late."
to.
All right.
Well,
Good
thank
night,
you, ladies. You guys are
All
everyone.
right.
wonderful.
Thanks.
Good
Good
night.
night. Bye.
Bye. Say bye. You want to say bye?
We're going to play.
You better hurry up. Say bye.
Oh, bye.
I am talking.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Sorry. I'm taking
No, you're good.
like all my whole top page is like cut off. I can't even.